How's it going, everybody? Marvel the Cross 316 coming back to you with another video. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to start a new series called Amazing Spider-Man Review. Basically, I'm going to review every Spider-Man comic book that has been pretty much in existence from 1963 to present day. I know that's going to be pretty tough, but I think if y'all like it, if y'all like what I'm doing here, I think this should be something good. So I'm basically going to review the storyline. I'm going to review the artwork, and just look at some of this classic stuff. So we're looking at Amazing Spider-Man #1. I'm starting with #1 because I didn't want to review Amazing Fantasy 15. I think we all know that story really well. So let's look at Amazing Spider-Man 1. And as we know, this particular issue is hot right now. If you ever go on eBay, look at the price. I believe there was one Amazing Spider-Man issue. I think it was a 5.0 condition, selling for $10,000. I don't know if anybody has that kind of money. I certainly don't. But let's get started. I'm reviewing this comic book on this website called readcomiconline.com. It's where I read all of my issues that I don't have. It's a great website. I highly recommend it. So let's get started. So here we go. As we know, Chameleon makes his first appearance in this issue. So let's look at the very first page, Spider-Man. Classic Steve Ditko. We have on the script Stan Lee, artist Steve Ditko, lettering Johnny D. And this is just, classic stuff. And as we know from the very beginning, the hatred J. Jonah Jameson gives to Spider-Man from the very start. So, of course, we have him being called a freak, a public menace. And so here is the note. It says, Spider-Man first appeared as a feature in Amazing Fantasy #15, August. So great was your response via letters and postcards that it was decided to give him his own magazine. A brief summary follows. So let's see. This is coming right after Amazing Fantasy 15. So as we see, Peter Parker is in his room that he's living with his aunt, and he is pretty much really mad at himself because he feels like he is at fault for Uncle Ben being dead. As you can see right here, it says, Uncle Ben is dead, and all because I was too late to save him. My Spider-Man costume, I wish there were no such thing. So he is blaming himself for his uncle's death. He tells a little bit of a backstory as to what he did with his powers. He tried to go display his powers, basically, by being a showman, basically trying to make money. But as we can tell, from this storyline, and this is from the comics, that the burglar enters May Parker's home and shoots Uncle Ben. He was robbing the house. Spider-Man, unbeknownst, does not know about it. He comes home and finds out that his uncle has been shot and hunts down the burglar, as we've seen from Spider-Man movies. Very similar in the storyline. And so now we have present day Peter Parker deciding, what do I need to do? So he says, and now Uncle Ben is gone, and Aunt May and I are alone. So Peter Parker at this time understands that he has to take care of his aunt. She's a widow now. So he also understands that they are in need of money. Since Uncle Ben has died, he needs to find a quick way to make some money. As we know, Aunt May, being the caring aunt that she is, she's a mother figure for Peter Parker. She basically, her and Uncle Ben raised Peter Parker, and she's basically making him feel like he is fine, like things are normal, just we need to move on with life. Peter Parker knows he has a secret that Aunt May should never find out about, because if she ever found out about his secret, it could really cause a lot of stress on her life. So he says, I can go anywhere, nothing can stop me. Any amount of money could be mine just for the taking. He thinks maybe I should just go into crime fighting, or maybe I should become a menace. How about that? But then he thinks, wait a minute, if I start robbing banks and Aunt May finds out about it, she'll be crushed. I can't go into a life of crime. There's no way. So Peter Parker, he goes back to school, and as we know from Amazing Fantasy 15, that Peter Parker is not the most liked guy at school. A lot of people make fun of him. One of the main key characters we need to look at from this issue is Liz Allen. Liz Allen makes her first appearance in Amazing Fantasy 15, but here, as always, Peter Parker being made fun of. He is the big science nerd at his high school, and basically they are saying, you know what, we might have known he'd rather study. They basically are asking him to, let's see, they're going to the show tonight. Peter Parker is like, no, I'm good. And of course, they're making fun of him because they say, well, he's a big bookworm, and it'll be more fun without him. So not only is Peter Parker dealing with the stress of the death of his uncle, but he is also worrying about, getting along with people at his school. Let's move on. So that night, as the audience was amazed by Spider-Man's prowess, none suspect the real reason that Peter Parker couldn't be in the audience. So this show that they're going to go see Spider-Man in action. But Peter Parker says he can't make it, and the reason why is because he has to perform as Spider-Man. Very, very cool. Finally, after the show, it's time to pay you, Spider-Man, but I can't give you cash. I've got to give you a check, so there's a record for taxes. What name should I write to the check? Spider-Man basically says that he can't put his name on the check because then it would give his secret identity away. And he says, a tough time cashing it, eh? Well, we'll just see about that. So Spider-Man goes to cash the check, but the guy says, don't be silly. Anyone can wear a costume. So they begin to understand that, this guy, we can't pay him. He might be Spider-Man or he may not. Now we understand now that Peter Parker he needs money. He needs money bad. So he finds that maybe he should go to the Daily Bugle and get a job. So this is where Spider-Man learns that maybe, we should go and get a job at the Daily Bugle. But of course, there's that problem. J. Jonah Jameson, he thinks that Spider-Man is a crook. So a lot of great storylines here. J. Jonah Jameson, from the very start, he says, we cannot allow that masked menace to take the law into his own hands. He is a bad influence on our youngsters. Children may try to imitate his fantastic feats. So from the very start, as always, and then he brags about his son. His J. Jonah Jameson's son is an astronaut, John Jameson, and that he is going to basically come and visit his father. Peter Parker reads about it. Go on down. You look at, it looks like Aunt May is in the pawn shop. Oh crap, she's selling her diamonds and jewelry so that her family can her and Peter Parker can basically live and have some money. He feels bad about it. And then he sees the newspaper extra. John Jameson, son of the publisher of the Daily Bugle, about to orbit the Earth. So here's part 2. As always, in the early Silver Age, there was a second part. And let's just kind of skim through. I don't want to go through all the story. But basically, something happens where John Jameson is in trouble. Spider-Man has to come to the rescue to save J. Jonah Jameson's son. And some great artwork again by Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko is amazing with this artwork. And as you know, and there's a part 3. When we're looking at these photos, we're looking at the artwork, and we're just looking at the story in general for Spider-Man. There's a reason why he became so popular with the kids who are reading these stories, because he was just so relatable. He was a high school loser who just wanted to fit in, but he had these superpowers that he felt like he just had a responsibility. Okay, so at this point, he saves John Jameson, but again, oh no, it can't be true. The newspaper demands that Spider-Man be arrested and prosecuted. Editorial by J. Jonah Jameson. It isn't possible. Why? Why? Yeah. So let's see. Again, he's making a point, J. Jonah Jameson, that he's a menace. So wanted, caution, he is dangerous. Report him to the nearest FBI office. Spider-Man reward for his capture. And of course, Aunt May finds that Spider-Man, she thinks that Spider-Man is a menace. And that is the end. Let me skim through. Here is the first appearance of the Chameleon. Don't want to get too much into the story. The FF, of course, makes their early appearance in this issue. So this is the first time that the Fantastic Four appear in Spider-Man. This is I would say, tag team with Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. Again, great artwork by Steve Ditko. And they're still so Spider-Man is pretty new to the Marvel universe at this time, and they are questioning Spider-Man. Is he a hero or villain? Remember, let's talk about the Chameleon real quick. The Chameleon, he can change disguise at any moment, at any time. He is a master of disguise. He's one of Spider-Man's first villains that comes on the scene. Here, his little lair, I guess, where he changes disguises. He reads in the newspaper, there is only one reason Spider-Man will want to join the Fantastic Four. Being sought by the police, there is no way for him to earn a legitimate living. He must be desperate for money, and this is where I come in. So he tries to trick Spider-Man, and for the most part, remember, Spider-Man is a teenager at this point, so he doesn't have a lot of common sense. And basically, the Chameleon in this story disguises himself as Spider-Man, does all of Spider-Man's tricks, but there's one problem. You cannot fool the original Spider-Man. And as we let's skim to the ending of this story, we find that he is caught, but because of this, this onslaught of hate towards Spider-Man, Spider-Man finds that nothing turns out right. He's about to cry. I Wish I had never gotten my superpowers. Very interesting. Towards the end, we see a Fantastic Four are questioning Spider-Man. Who is he? We don't know who he is. And as we get to the last page, and the whole world will have to wonder until our next great issue. Don't miss it. The end. The very last page will show Spider-Man thanking his fans for allowing him to get his own magazine, basically. Hope you have enjoyed this issue of the new Amazing Spider-Man. Beginning with our third issue, there will be a letters page. So the letter page was introduced in the third issue. All right, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed this real basic summary of Amazing Spider-Man #1. Hope you all enjoyed this. And if you want to see more of this, just comment below. I'm happy to do this. I'll make sure to read the comic book before I review it. And I'll be trying to get this under 10 minutes next time. But we'll see about that. Just a lot of great stuff. Hope you all enjoyed this. And I'll see y'all next time.